Hello, hello. This is now the abduction timings session. It's in the dry dock, and we're going through all the times I have calculated that happened between 9:15 and about around about 10 o'clock. It covers a time period of 45 minutes. And we start with Google Earth. There was a dry run on the Thursday before Nikki's abduction, which was Thursday the 26th of January. Nikki was abducted Friday 27th of January 23. There was a dry run. Two fishermen were seen in the vicinity of the Iron Bridge, which is here. Iron Bridge, the graveyard and the church. So what they did is they basically secured the area on the south side in military style. It was the dry run. And what else might have happened is someone might have secured the area at the corner of Allotment Lane and Blackpool Road. That's where Richard Five says he spotted the man in black. Right, that's that done now. We're looking into Richard Five now. That's on Friday the 27th of January. And Richard Five is seen on Allotment Lane, and the spot where he is, it's in front of the fence, and he walks towards Blackpool Road. So he comes from the field, and the time is 8:54 and 27 seconds, and he's probably CCTV'd from the house where the bloke from Middlesbrough lives. And Curtis Arnold had a run-in with him. When he walked past his house, he sits in the house, and you see his cameras moving up and down and left and right and center. And you cannot sneak past his house, basically. You've got no chance. And that's why Becky Smith says they were lucky, because the end of Allotment Lane is fully CCTV'd, and that's got to do with this bloke from Middlesbrough in this house. And he's definitely Richard Five. You see him here in the picture. He's walking along Allotment Lane. He's not walking towards the field. He comes from the field, because on his right hand side you see the fence, and there's only this fence in Allotment Lane. He walks towards Blackpool Road, and the Middlesbrough bloke's house is on the other side, where Richard Five looks at the moment. It's impossible that he walked the other way around towards the field. He comes from the field at 8:54 and 27 seconds, and he's CCTV'd. And notice he seems to be a bit in a hurry. He's got a black Labrador. He wears a hat. He wears wellies. And what else can we spot? Yeah, he's a bit, in my opinion, he's a bit in a hurry. Black Labrador. He wears a cap or a hat and wellies, and that's it, basically the observation. And about 30 seconds later, 8:55, he sees the man in black at the corner of Allotment Lane and Blackpool Road. And the black man in black, he later describes the black man in black as 6'1" or 6'1", stocky build. I don't know how this works. Stocky build and 6'1", and a chubby face. And the man in black says hi to him, right? Hi. And that's unusual, because normally we would say good morning or hello, or are you all right? Or from me you would just get a miserable right But this guy says to him, "Hi, yeah, fucking hell, you know. I would have been getting concerned about my dog if someone says hi to me. That's unusual. It makes me wonder: was this guy actually English, or was he foreign? Or was it was this the only word he knew? Hi, because hi coming from a 6'1" bloke or 6 foot bloke, stocky build, chubby face. That's not what you normally get. And then the next thing we know about Richard Fife in the inquiry, he did not appear in the inquiry, but he sent a written notification that was read out in the court, and it basically says that he was back in the field between 9:15 and 9:25. So how come he went back into the field? Yes, I mentioned it in a previous video. Did he get himself a bag of Haribos? Went back in order to share it with Nikki, and he couldn't find her. And that's what it was all about. He had to be in the field between 9:15 and 9:20. So police had a strong handle to say nothing happened. There was no third-party involvement, because otherwise Dickie Fife would have seen it, and Dickie Fife would have told us. So Richard Fife did not have to put a proper witness statement out saying this and that happened. He just said he was in the field and he saw nothing happened. And yes, and then he tells us about the man in black at the corner of Allotment Lane, Blackpool Road. So I don't know what you make of it. Can we trust this guy? Anything he says? I'll leave that to you. If it's true, if Richard Fife spoke the truth, then on Friday the 27th, it was military. It was a military style. The area was secured. Here is the corner between Blackpool Road, Allotment Lane. The man in black would have stood here, observed who goes into Allotment Lane, who comes out. And the other one was probably, I say probably because I don't know it with certainty, in the vicinity of the Iron Bridge, the towpath, the graveyard and the church. And then 8:50, they made their move at 9 o'clock, basically. That's what I see in it. They came the same way as they went back with Nikki. They climbed across the river. They climbed it on these, using these cables. They made it behind the warehouse. Walked along behind the warehouse to the stile. This is the stile next to the warehouse, not next to the bench. Then along the Yews into the fisherman's trample path, you know which one I mean, down the embankment, and then to the spot where they lurked until they got a signal from the observer on the other side of the river. And what else have we got? And then it's then we're coming to 9:15 is when Claire Chesham went through the kissing gate, and I'm trying to find the kissing gate here. Yeah, here we see the kissing gate. 9:15, Claire Chesham went through here. The observer on the other side of the river basically saw her. He knew it would take her 2 minutes to the junction, and Claire Chesham was the marker. And the two assailants, they were lurking in this spot here. I've identified this spot, which is basically the up to here. The woods grow, and further on is the Yews again, with no woods involved. They lurked here until 9:17. They got a signal from the man on the opposite side, and then they made their way to the fence next to the stile. This is another picture of the lurking spot. They would have been hiding here. They might have had a fag, some conversation until they got the go ahead to jump out and go in for Nicky. And this is what I call the dash for the bench. This is the path. It's on the lower level. Riverbank path. This appears the higher level where Penny would have walked along in a few minutes later, but they made the dash to the low fence next to the stile and to the bench. They began operation 9:17, and they were at the bench at 9:18. They went over the fence next to the stile. They were here at 9:18. These are just some more pictures of the bench and the stile area. 9:18. Nicky would have been not where these people are, very close. I would say a bit further towards the bench. But they're actually pretty in a pretty good spot. These people, who are they actually? Oh, these are dog walkers, right? Nicky was 44 steps from the brick building towards here, and she was 55 steps from the stile towards the brick building. And this is the view from where Nicky was. This is too close. I have a better picture. This is what Nicky would have, what it looks like. But Nicky would have seen this one. This is the better picture here. It's at approximately the distance where Nicky would have been. She saw them coming, hasting towards her from the left-hand side. This is the stile here, and the low fence is here. They would have come out of here, not over the stile. They would have come out of here. I reckon it's about 30 centimeters in height, that low fence, and it's got a hammering over the time. It's not really an obstacle. You came along here, and they hasted towards her, right? And this is we're still at 9:18, and that's when Nicky pressed the panic buttons on her iPhone, and she tried to trigger a 999 call, but this failed because an application was running on her iPhone. I think it's that Microsoft Teams or whatever it's called. These are more pictures of the stile and the bench. I'll quickly go through them. The stile, and this is the spot where they came over. This is the low level fence, about 30 centimeters in height, I would say. It's actually lower. It's lower than the stile, right? If you observe it closely, the stile is up to here, and the lower fence is not quite as high as the stile. And what's that? That's just another picture of the bench area, the stile. Oh, yeah, we've got a better picture of the. This is a stile. This is the low level, the low fence where they came over, and this is also the way Nicky was taken away from the bench area. How many pictures have I got from this spot? I think I picked too many here, but this is the low fence again. Gives you an idea. And then, yes, back at the bench area. Back at the bench, yeah. Nicky presses the panic buttons at 9:18. Then they haste towards Nicky, and it's 9:18 and 30 seconds when they got to Nicky, and Nicky gets attacked. Nicky resists, and this is the start of commotion being heard by Penny coming from the towpath, later from the bench area, and later it moved towards along the riverbank. And what should have taken 30 seconds back to the bench, because that's how long they took to get to Nikki from the stile to Nikki, 30 seconds. What should have taken 30 seconds back to the bench took 1 minute and 30 seconds. That's because Nikki defended herself, right? And they also had to deal with Willow, and that's when the police report comes in at 9:20. The phone moved to the bench area. That's when Nikki, Willow, and the phone are in the bench area. And in the bench area, I calculated around the bench area, they spent another 30 seconds to place the phone, either on the bench or on the ground, and to deal with Willow. What did they do with Willow? Willow never came across such a situation. Willow was Nikki's third daughter. She was probably kicked. She never experienced anything like that. She was paralyzed, frightened. She might have been pepper sprayed, kicked, tied up, and she later wriggled herself out of it. That's why Penny found her roaming about. So they spent 30 seconds. They were at the bench at 9:20. They spent 30 seconds, and it was 9:20 and 30 seconds when they took Nikki over the low fence next to the stile. 9:20 and 30 seconds. She was taken over here. What should have taken over the low fence next to the stile, and it took them 1 minute when they rushed towards Nikki. It took them 1 minute from where they lurked to the stile. It took them 1 minute, but with Nikki, what should have taken 1 minute back to the place where they started, it took them 1 minute and 30 seconds with Nikki, and commotion would have still been heard along the riverbank. The commotion, it moves along the river. That's what Penny would have heard. And at 9:22, they're back at the place where they started. Look into this now. 9:20 and 30 seconds. They took her along here, and it took them not 1 minute, but 1 minute and 30 seconds. And at 9:22, they were back in the spot where they lurked. And this is the lurking. This is the spot where this is, and this was at 9:22. 9:22 is when Nikki's heart rate peaked. 9:22, Nikki's heart rate peaked, and they spent 2 minutes in this spot. That's where Nikki got sorted, silenced. Sock in the mouth, taped, whatever they did to her. I don't want to imagine it. You can imagine it yourself. 9:22, they sorted it out. It took 2 minutes, and at 9:24 they moved on. But before we go there, it's 9:23. So they're still in the spot sorting Nikki out. 9:23, Penny leaves the house with destination is the U's. And at 9:24 they move on. At 9:25, this is still the spot where they lurk. This is from the opposite side. And then they move on. From here they move on. At 9:24 they move on. Penny's on her way since 9:23. They move on here. And towards the embankment. This is the embankment. And at 9:25, they are at the embankment at 9:25 and 30 seconds, because it takes them from the spot where they lurked, 9:24, to the embankment, takes them 1 minute and 30 seconds. So they were here at 9:25 and 30 seconds. and it shows you what it looks like down here. You have to get up there. This is the embankment towards the fisherman's trample path. This is still the embankment. This is one of the paths up there. This is the other one, and there's a third one further along here. And in this space, in this spot, you've got the broken fence. You just step over it, and you're on the fisherman's trample path. You see the broken fence is. This is not a problem whatsoever. You just step over it. At 9:25 and 30 seconds, they would have been here. And this would be the entrance into the woods. If one of them decided to go into the woods, the other one would have pinned Nikki down the embankment. This one might have either went into the woods, or he would have used that tree here as a cover. This is another picture from the woods. You can walk around in these woods, and it's you cannot be seen from the use. Penny is at the warehouse at 9:25. She started at 9:23. Took her 2 minutes with Tess, her dog. 9:25. She's at the warehouse. This is still at the warehouse. This is the warehouse gate. This is the warehouse here, so we're already past the warehouse gate. This would be the start of the use here. That's where Penny was at 9:25, and Penny is past the warehouse gate at 9:25 and 30 seconds. And she is at the stile. This is the stile here next to the warehouse. This is not the stile next to the bench. This is the stile at the warehouse. Penny is at that stile at 9:25 and 40 seconds. I've timed it all. It all plays out beautifully. Yeah. So in between 9:25 and 30 seconds and 9:25 and 40 seconds, Penny is being spotted. It's either by the man on the opposite side of the river. 9:25, 40 seconds. She was at a stile. You can see her from here on. Especially in winter, they could spot her. Or she could have been spotted by the two assailants when they took Nikki up the embankment. They saw her, so it back down the embankment, and they left her. Left her approaching. To walk past the use. Yes, between 9:25 and 30 seconds and 9:25 and 40 seconds, Penny is being spotted. Nikki is being kept down the embankment. One of them might have went into the woods or behind the tree to observe Penny while she was in the blind spot behind the woods. And this is important now. Once Penny approached the blind spot, this is the use now, where Penny walked along. She would have been, from here on, she would have already been spotted, because you can see the place where they were. This is the fisherman's trample path, and down the embankment they would have spotted her, either by them or the observer on the other side. She would have. This is. Where the use makes this, it swerves north and then east again, and this is the fisherman's trample path leading towards the broken fence and down the embankment. And it's around here, 9:25. No, sorry, 9:20. Let me get this right. 9:26. That would be 9:26 when Penny was in this spot here. And that's when the observer makes his way back to his van when Penny moved into the blind spot. I've calculated all this. I even know the movements of the observer. So the observer at 9:26, the observer makes his way to the van when Penny moved into the blind spot, and from then on Penny is being observed by one of the assailants, either behind this tree or he was in the woods. What else have we got? At 9:27 and 30 seconds, so Penny walks into the blind spot now. This is another view from the fisherman's path. This is the path of the ewes, swerving north now. This is another picture of the fisherman's path. Behind this tree is the broken fence, the leveled fence down the embankment. That's where Nikki was kept at that time. One of the assailants either behind this tree or in these woods. He would have observed Penny while she walked past, and that's again the fisherman's trample path, and this is the path along the ewes that Penny would not have went in here. She would have continued on her path along the ewes, and this path takes Penny along. This is the ewes area on the left hand side, and on the right hand side are the woods. And we need Penny to be in a certain spot. That we're getting closer. This is already very close, and this is where the end, where there's no more trees growing. This is also down the bank is where the assailants originally lurked. So we need Penny in this spot at 9:27 and 30 seconds. This is another view from that Penny could have seen when she walked past this place. That's the view towards the tree where they might have lurked, and that's a bit further on is the embankment. It's another view from the ewes. This is already very close. I think this is the spot where we need Penny to be at 9:27 and 30 seconds, and from then on everything works beautifully. And this is the spot where we need Penny to be. I've put my hat on it. And from this spot, you look back. This is my hat here on the plant. If Penny would have looked back, then that's what she would have seen. She would have seen. You cannot really make out the fisherman's trample path, but you can see. I don't know if this is the tree actually, but there's another tree behind there, where one of them might have been hidden. Let me see this. There's two trees. This is the one that's visible from where we just looked back, but this here is the tree where he might have been hiding. So yeah, when Penny looked back, this is not the tree where he was hiding. There's another one further to the left. And then this is another view. This is my hut here. Can you see it on the plant? And from here on, Penny was in a safe distance, and they made from there on they made what I call the dash to the warehouse. And you could, if one of them was hiding in the woods, that's the view from the woods to my hut on one of them plants. You can just make it out, and it's easier when there's a moving target walking past. Then you can make it out even easier than a stationary hut on a plant, but you can still spot it quite nicely. This is now the dash for the warehouse. They would have come. Penny would have been around, almost around that corner. They at 9:27, 30 seconds. They made their way up the embankment, up here, and along the fisherman's trample path. Yes, Penny is 9:27 and 30 seconds. Penny is at a safe distance with her back to them. it's the dash for the warehouse begins along the use, then over the stile. So they basically walked the same path that Penny walked just a few minutes ago. And here they approach the stile. Over the stile, along here, towards the back of the warehouse. And it took them, they had time. First I thought they only had 2 minutes, but Penny would have been at that spot where she was needed 9:27 and 30 seconds. They would have made the dash for the warehouse at 9:27 and 30 seconds. And they were behind the warehouse at 9:30 and 30 seconds. That gave them comfortable 3 minutes. You can make it, no problem, even with Nikki. And behind the warehouse, Nikki had an accident. She fell from a height. It was in the report, in the what's it called, when they examine the body. I cannot think at the moment. When they look at someone's body after death, and they find out she fell from a height, it was all established. Then she was hooked up and winched across. And I know the time when this happened. And at 9:31 and 30 seconds to 9:33, Penny gets over the stile after observing the river and Hughes opposite and the opposite bank. So Penny gets over the stile at 9:31 and 30 seconds, and she might have taken a bit longer to observe everything, because she says she went over the stile at 9:33. That's quite possible. I don't want to argue with that, right? And then we need to look at the observer. As said before, at 9:26 he makes his way to the van when Penny moved into the blind spot. And the observer. Give me a minute. I'm trying to figure it out. And it takes him. I've timed this. At 9:26 he moves towards the van. It takes him 5.5 minutes from where he approximately was to the van. 5.5 minutes. Then it takes him another 2 minutes. It takes him 2 minutes to drive his van from the shed to the lane with no name and reverse it into that spot. That's 2 minutes. So that's 7.5 minutes. And then he walks from his van where he parked, where he reversed it, to the enclosure on the opposite side of the warehouse, and that takes 2.5 minutes. I've walked it all. I even used my car to drive it from the shed to into the lane with no name, reversed it outside that priest's house, and the drive for the van from the shed to the spot, including the reversing, is 2 minutes. He would have taken 5.5 minutes from to walk back to his van, then 2 minutes in the van, 7.5 minutes, and then 2.5 minutes walk time to the enclosure where the metal post is, with the cables. 2.5 minutes, 10 minutes altogether it took him. And he started 9:26, so at 9:36 he was on the opposite side of the warehouse, and that's when Nikki was winched across. And it's also 9:36 when Helen O'Neill hears a scream coming from the river path. We measure this quickly. we don't know where Helen O'Neill lives. This is allotment lane. She lives in allotment lane. So we take the middle center somewhere and measure the distance from there to the warehouse. It's about 223 meters. 222 meters. That's you can easily hear things at a distance from 222 meters. As she hears a scream from the river path between 9:36 and 9:55. She could have been a bit more precise, but I think 9:36 is when Nikki was winched across the river. And then from then on, no further. Once Nikki was behind the warehouse, no further steps were recorded on her Fitbit because she was winched across, and when she was on the opposite side, she was carried. And we look at the pictures where she was carried along. This is behind the warehouse, and this is the enclosure where she ended up being winched across. At that time, there was no metal mesh here. They just pushed her between the bottom two planks through here. The mesh they put in is part of the cleanup operation that was done by the magician. The magician is a high up politician, ministry level. It was not the police that had any say in it any longer, because it was the magician who directed media, who organized the cleanup operation, take down all the cables, put the mesh around here, and put a padlock on the gate. This gate here, the lower gate at the warehouse, because this was always open. You could easily walk up and down around here onto the higher level. That was all part of the cleanup operation. And then Nikki is in this spot here, which is the enclosure where she was winched across, where she ended up being pushed in between these two planks here. And then that's where they carried her. They came out here, and this is already the way they carried her. And I'm still in two minds about if they carried her on top of the embankment or at the bottom of the embankment. I was there last Friday and had another look, and I says it doesn't really make a difference, because someone on the iron bridge can look over there, and also from the towpath close to the iron bridge, someone can look into this direction. And it's actually, someone is more visible when he walks at the bottom of this embankment than when he is at the top of the embankment. So I might have gotten this wrong. At the top of the embankment, you've got a bit of a cover by these trees. You just walk very close to these trees, and then you've got a bit more cover. So that's where Nikki was winched across, and that's where they carried her along. And this is another picture from this spot. See, in the background, you see this is the iron bridge. Someone could look over here, and also this is the towpath part close to the iron bridge. Someone could look over here, and you're actually more visible when you walk at the bottom of it than when you walk at the top under the cover of these trees and bushes and all that. So I might have gotten it wrong the last time when I said the bottom of the embankment. They might have carried her along. Observe the path all the time, and when the air was clear, they carried her along. It took them a while, from 9:36 to about 9:50. That's 14 minutes. They made use of every sort of cover. To the hidden path, and that's when when they came close to that hidden path that takes you to the back of the graveyard, they had to take her over here. I measured it the last time. It's not a problem. It's about how much was it? 60 centimeters or something like that. That was basically the only obstacle they had to overcome. But at the top plank is conveniently broken. There were three in that moment. There were three. The two assailants. The observer was with them now, so there were three. No problem whatsoever. That's what I'm saying. And this is the hidden path I didn't know about, that takes you towards the lane with no name. Yes, this is the path where they carried her along. This is again the spot where they got her over the fence into this hidden path. And we're almost there. And this is now the exit point. The van would have been parked here. It says private, but everybody walks along here. I've had a bit of a run-in with the priest when I reversed my car into his spot. He says it's all private, and even the path is private. So, but we've spotted people on this path. People use it all the time. And the first time I came along in my car, he says, "Have you got permission to access the graveyard?" So there are some vehicles are exempt to go into this, to drive into the spot. And the thing with this bloke, with this priest, once he has got his van, I'm not talking about the shabby red van now, I'm talking about the priest's van. When he has got his van parked close to his house, it makes it extremely difficult. It's almost impossible to reverse the car. You drive forward into this place, then you try to reverse it in front of his house. It's almost impossible when he's got his van there. But I figured out, this bloke, he works like a clock a bit. He moves his van at around about 15 minutes past 8 in the morning. He moves his van, and then there's no van in front of his house, and they would have been there 9:30, so no problem whatsoever. And then the priest's van pops back up sometime in the early afternoon. I don't know what he's doing. So he moves his van 8:15, and his van pops back up in the early afternoon. So they would have had the space to turn around the shabby red van and park it into this spot. Because the bloke, I don't know if it's the priest or not. I just call it the priest's house. But he wouldn't be there he might go to work, or might be, I don't know what he's doing. And this is another picture, but his van is not there in the critical hours when the shabby red van was reversed into the spot, and that's where the shabby red van would have been reversed in. It would have been left here, and the observer would have made his way to the enclosure. And I think we're almost there now. Yeah, that's where the van would have been. He would have reversed his van quite tightly into here, because he wanted this van to shield any view from the house on the left hand side, and from the house, the view from the priest's house. Even nobody would have been there, because the priest's van would have been gone during that time. Yes, I've figured that out. It's a bugger when the professor is around, because he figures out everything. He looks into everything, you know. And this is then the exit point of the shabby red van. We drive forward into Hall Lane. Have I got any more notes? Oh yes, we forgot Veronica Claesen. Veronica Claesen heard a scream, an inhaled scream, at 9:15. Veronica Claesen was very precise, actually, which is a good thing. And I'm trying to find Where is she? Where was Veronica? Here she was. She was here. She was outside the tennis court. She wouldn't park her car on the tennis court. She would have parked her car here somewhere. And then from there to, let's say they were somewhere here, 180 meters, that's not a problem. Or they were on the hidden path, 128 meters. The distance to the spot where they parked their car is 117 meters. So she heard an inhaled scream at 9:50, and that's where Nikki, I reckon 9:50, that's where Nikki was pretty close to the van, and that was probably Nikki's last chance to make herself known, and then the van would have made it into Hall Lane, and Nikki would have been in this van on Hall Lane just before 10 o'clock. That's what I've calculated. And it would have made its way towards Myerscough in Skip. I know where the van went now, by the way, but I'm not gonna tell you today. I just check some of my other notes if I've got everything. Yeah, it took the observer 5 minutes 30 seconds to get back to his van. It takes 2 minutes to move the van into the lane with no name, reverse it into the spot under the trees. It takes another 2 minutes 30 seconds to walk from the van to the enclosure opposite the warehouse. It took him 10 minutes from 9:26 when he started to 9:36, and that's when 9:36, I reckon, when Nikki was winched across the river. I did all this, I measured it all, it works beautifully. Yes, and I think I know where the red van headed. I could even tell you the time it took the red van to get to its destination. But then I could even tell you, because I did it. I've been there last Friday, and I timed it, measured it all. I could even tell you up to a precision of 30 seconds how long it took them. But if I would tell you how many minutes, then you could figure out where they went, and I don't want to do that right now, because I will tell you this in the last video, which is called Riders on the Storm, because it's got to do with the van driving towards this spot. And then from there on, they had to dump the van. So the van, Nikki would have put into this. It's a certain area. It's a certain spot, and then the van would have been driven to another spot in Lancashire. It's a bit of a distance, that one, and we're gonna drive this as well, and I'll show you where the red van was dumped, and I'll also show you what happened to Nikki at. I almost said some time. I don't want to do that. So that's all in the making. What I'm doing at the moment is with this video finished now, that's been on my mind for a while, the timings. I might have over-engineered it with working with 30 seconds and so on, but I'd rather be precise than too sloppy. So what I'm doing now is I cut and edit the walk in the park video, and after then it's the Riders on the Storm with the movement of the van, where the van was eventually dumped and where Nikki ended up. And this will be a shocker. I can tell you that one. And I've screwed something up. Yes, I've screwed something up, but it's not a problem. It will be corrected. So I've got to shoot two sequences again. But that's of the Riders on the Storm. The walk in the park will go ahead straight away after this video. It might be already available over the weekend. I cannot promise it, but it might be. And Riders on the Storm probably a week later. So that's it with me for now. I hope this video didn't take too long. Just to have a look into how long did it take me. I will find out when it's saved onto my computer. So that's me done for now. I hope I haven't forgotten anything again. But yes, keep on working. I think it's Kelly who emailed me. Thank you very much, Kelly. It's very much appreciated what you're doing. It needs people like you to, yes, Kelly. It's Kelly who informed me about the weir cables. Very important work. It takes people like Kelly and other people who work behind the scenes and make things work. And I think if we pull all together, then we can solve this problem. But it will not be, the outcome will be, it will not be nice. So just to, yes, I said Riders on the Storm. When it was taken, it's not Paul Ansel's house. Forget that. Paul Ansel is innocent. And it's also not the Inskip Cadet Center, just to put some people's minds at ease. So I will have nothing to do with. I don't want anything to do with it, because it would be a bit too dangerous. But the place I'm on about is something else, and you will not. I don't say anymore. It will be a bit of a. It will be a surprise. So I'm finished now with this video, and tomorrow I'm gonna work on cutting and editing the A Walk in the Park video where Penny is on, and Ronnie and all of them. So I wish you a good day, and I'll see you soon. Ta-ra.